would you call it warfare? I mean, warfare is a war that has some codes and some
Rules,
ethics and
some
everything.
rules.
Right. But then we know that these kind of quote unquote warfare did not have any rule or any codes or any ethics. Right. It was something, some sort of an invasion or some sort of a unrest situation that killed a lot of people. Right. So let's introduce the term here, which is called genocide. Right. So what is genocide? So genocide is a word which was pretty much unknown before World War II. Okay, and this is said by Winston Churchill, that it is a crime that does not have a name. And this word genocide was first coined by this guy Raphael Lemkin in 1943 or 44, who himself was a Polish Jewish jurist who escaped from this Nazi occupied Europe, I think in 1941, in and around 1941. Yeah, around 1941. And then came to United States, and he coined the term genocide in order to explain what is going on in that contemporary time in the Nazi Europe, with specifically with the Jews, right? And so this word genocide is comprised of two basically words: genos, which basically means race, and then side, which means killing. So in short, it is killing of a race, right? And then Lemkin goes on, and I would like to quote him here, that it, which means genocide, is intended rather to signify a coordinate plan of different actions aiming at the destruction of essential foundation of the life of national groups, with the aim of annihilating the groups themselves. Okay. And then he goes on, the objectives of such a plan would be disintegration of political and social institutions of culture, language, national feelings, religion, and the economic existence of national groups, and the destruction of the personal security, liberty, health, dignity, and even the lives of the individuals belonging to such groups. Right. So genocide has two phases: destruction of any national pattern, right, that is prevalent in that group who are being oppressed. And the second part is, once the national pattern, the national culture is destroyed, then comes the imposition of the national pattern of the oppressor. Right. So it includes first the complete eradication of the native culture, and then the imposition of the foreign culture on the people of the native land. Right. And yeah, so basically, we can argue here whether mass killings is a definitional attribute of genocide, because genocide can happen even in the peace time also. Okay. But then, in my opinion, the essential, undeniable requirement of genocide is this us versus them otherization, right? And this us versus them sort of otherization doctrine, there is a very specific sort of group or ideologies rather, who are expert in this kind of otherization. That is the Abrahamic ideologies, right? And so basically, Abrahamic ideologies does this us and them otherization through contempt and collective defamations, stereotypes, and derogatory metaphors, right? Like it portrays the unbelievers in a specific faith as insects, animals, dungers, dirty, najis, wrongdoers, zalim, dog, kutta, swine, evil, Satan, kafir. And in this, through the use of these kind of metaphors or these kind of words and jargons, right? The Abrahamic ideologies, what they do, they basically subhumanize the group they want to attack, right? And then once the otherized group is subhumanized, then it becomes an obligation of the believers, right, Abrahamic believers, to sort of save these oppressed groups, quote unquote save, from this eternal hell, right? With the fear that the God's people will be infected otherwise. I mean, if so, basically, if the subhumanized group are not sort of eliminated, then they can they can sort of contaminate the humanity. So this way, the Abrahamic doctrines sort of perform different stages of a genocide. Now, obviously, the United Nations cannot out and out say ki Abrahamic doctrines are the male culprit or all those kind of things, but they have given a sort of definition of genocide inspired by the definition of Raphael Lemkin, that guy who came to US and defined genocide for the first time. And so there is this 1948 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, adopted by United Nations General Assembly, who have defined in Article 1 genocide as a okay, so they have said in Article 1 that genocide, whether committed in the time of peace or in time of war, is a crime under international law. Okay. And then in Article 2, the Genocide Convention goes on that genocide has two elements. One is the mental element, which basically means the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. And then genocide has a physical element, which includes the killing the members of that specific oppressed group, causing serious bodily or mental harm, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, which was, I think, done in the during the time of Congress in 1970s, I guess. And then fifth part is forcibly transferring children of the group to another group, conversion, right? Okay, so then in Article 3, United Nations Genocide Convention further go on that there are a few acts that are punishable. One is genocide, second is conspiracy to commit genocide, third is direct and public incitement to commit genocide, fourth is attempt to commit genocide, and the fifth one is any kind of complicity in genocide. Okay. Now, yeah, then basically I have given I've given a review of this part, but then I would like to go to the next page where basically I am trying to ask myself whether all these colonizing conquests, right? We know that India has gone through 1,000 years of colonization, right? Some part of that, some remnant of these colonizing attributes are still there in our administration and judiciary and
Uh,
society, right?
Not small,
And
but a lot.
and so I'm asking right now whether all these colonizing conquests, they are gentrification or genocide. Gentrification is like, again, it is a very dehumanizing term. It basically says we have to clean up this part of the society, we have to gentrify this part of the society or this colony or anything. So whether it is gentrification or it is outright a genocide. Now, in colonizing conquests, there are three dominant narratives, right? One is the vacuum domicilium or empty dwelling, which basically says that no matter whether you are a native of a land, that land does not belong to you. Okay, if someone comes from outside, put some amount of labor or create a law to basically grab the land, it becomes their land. Okay, so that is the vacuum domicilium.